We're also following a developing story that is causing a firestorm both here in the U.S. and in India. The Indian government is calling the U.S. barbaric, and they're removing security barriers outside the U.S. Embassy in New Delhi. It is in response to the treatment of an Indian diplomat who was arrested and strip searched in New York on Thursday. Prosecutors say the Indian diplomat was charged with visa fraud after submitting false documents to obtain a work visa for her housekeeper. CNN's Malika Kapoor in Mumbai. And Malika, angry reaction there. Why has this created such an intense response?
You're right. It really has created such an intense response, and people here just say that it's humiliating that an Indian, and that to a diplomat, could be treated so poorly in the United States. And the reaction here, I have to say, has been unprecedented. As you mentioned, the government here is calling the treatment meted out to the diplomat as barbaric. And if you talk to anybody over here who's been following the story, they say that it's shameful, that it's insulting. Is India reacting? Yes, India is certainly reacting. We've had top political leaders here in New Delhi refuse to meet members of a U.S. delegation that's visiting India currently. We've also seen in New Delhi, we've seen the government remove security from outside the U.S. Embassy. Earlier today, we saw them remove these large concrete slabs outside the gates of the U.S. Embassy. And we've also seen the government strip away the diplomatic IDs given to U.S. diplomats in India, which really restricts kind of the diplomatic privileges that these diplomats enjoy in India. And still, some parliamentarians in India say that just isn't enough. They want more.
Yeah. Well, Malika, I'm sure officials there understand that this diplomat is accused of breaking the law here, is accused of a crime, and there are certain procedures that happen here in the United States. The officials here are saying that they reviewed protocol. They're going to continue to do it, but they're saying it appears that everything for this arrest happened above board. Is there that understanding there in India or no?
To be honest, no, not really. Over here, the feeling is that, look, she is a diplomat. She should be treated, with dignity. And, people really aren't paying attention to whether this was above board or not. People here are taking the matter very seriously. When you hear of a diplomat being strip searched, being handcuffed in public, she was dropping her daughter to school, that is not playing out very well here at all. And I think one of the reasons why it is playing out so strongly over here is that, remember, we are just a couple of months away from national elections here in India. So all the leaders of political parties are going to take this very seriously. Nobody can appear to be soft, and nobody can appear to be unpatriotic. And I think that's one of the reasons you are going to see a lot of rhetoric around this story over the next couple of days.
So I understand that she was arrested on $250,000 bail. She was released, I should say, and has pleaded not guilty in a Manhattan courtroom. Has anyone, at least there in India, heard from her family, gotten any response from the family or from her?
Her father has been speaking out. He is based here in Mumbai. He has spoken to the local press, and he, of course, again is saying that what happened to her, the treatment handed out to her, was unjustified, that she is not a criminal, that she has done nothing wrong, and the way she was treated is absolutely unjust. So her father has been speaking out over here. We have not heard from her directly, but her family has been speaking out, and they say what's happened is simply wrong.
Malika Kapoor, thank you, in Mumbai. We appreciate you joining us. I want to bring in now Susan Candiotti. She's here in the United States to talk to us about what U.S. authorities are telling her. What do you know, Susan?
Well, we're getting a much different picture from U.S. authorities here. A lot of things to keep in mind. First of all, the diplomat, when she was arrested, according to the U.S. Marshal Service and the diplomatic security agents that picked her up, they followed all the procedures they say they normally do and actually went above and beyond the call in some circumstances. For example, there's a complaint that she was strip searched and that she was placed in a cell with drug addicts. Well, the procedures for the U.S. Marshal Service when someone is put into custody is that, in fact, every person that is brought in to a facility is, in fact, strip searched, according to authorities, for the protection of the people who work there, as well as other defendants and other suspects with whom these people are placed. Whether she was placed in a cell with quote-unquote drug addicts, we got no response. She was placed in a cell with other female defendants. In terms of how she was arrested, Authorities, a law enforcement source tells me that, in fact, she was not arrested in front of her child after she was dropped off at an elementary school. She was picked up near the school, again, after the child was dropped off, and actually was not put in handcuffs, as is normally the case. In fact, she wasn't placed into handcuffs until, my sources tell me, until she arrived at the courthouse, and that's unusual, Don.
Susan Candiati, on top of this story, thank you very much. This is still developing. A U.S. diplomat arrested here from India, arrested in the United States, causing quite an international stir. We'll stay out on top of it out front here tonight. And